glad to have you stay with us on the program. Quickly, meet my guests, incidentally, both of them legal practitioners. First, I have Patrick Awo-Osage. Thank you for coming on the program.
It's my pleasure. Good morning, viewers.
And then there is David Maduku as well. Thank you for coming on
morning,
the program.
Morning, viewers.
Let's get right to it, gentlemen. The Executive Order 6, let's look at how it relates to the fight against graft in this country. I'd love to begin with you, Patrick. Let's look at the fact that, first of all, there is already machinery set in place.
Absolutely.
Set in motion to fight corruption in this country. You have executive agencies already, like the EFCC, like the ICPC, and then there is this executive order now, which is, of course, geared towards also fighting grafts. Is that unnecessary?
Well, we wouldn't say it's unnecessary. It's not unnecessary, but the big question is, why the order? That's the big question. Now, the executive order, and like you've rightly established, we have the anti-graft agencies, the EFCC, ICPC, and all other agencies of government to ensuring that corruption and all manner of wrongdoing is checked. Now, when you come up with an executive order, to me, or from the way I will want to interpret it, is to further give it some weight as it stands, as in to make the work a little bit more easier for these agencies to function. But the big question we would rather ask is why the order? Because from what I saw, I don't know how far I'm correct, from the list I saw, we even saw a dead person making the list.
Okay.
I don't know, as regards the list of those that have been banned from traveling and all whatnot. So this executive order as it stands is actually from the executive arm and as well to also, like I said, to collaborate, not to start off something fresh. But the question is why, and why those 50 persons? What is now so special about the 50 persons? Why not make it an open issue? Why not make it an order?
Is it not possible? That's a starting point.
Well, when we say starting point, if we're starting from, if I have 1 to 100 and I'm starting from 62, questions will be raised. Okay. Why am I starting from 62 to 70? We have had high-profile criminality and stuff that have happened in time past. We've had the high-profile killing. Corruption does not have to do with money looting and diverting the government funds alone.
It stretches beyond that.
It stretches beyond that. We know the killing of Funshaw Williams in Lagos, a man that wanted to be governor of Lagos. He was killed, and today we're talking with Bola Ige. Why have orders not been, executive order been, issued by government to look into this? And again, we must not fail to understand that why is it coming now that election is around the corner?
So you have a problem with the timing?
I do have a problem with the timing and the way.
Would there have been a better time than now?
Yes, like I said, you had come on board. This government came on board. I mean, the ruling party, the ruling government, as it were, they came on board with this change slogan and talk. So we are expected before now that, all corruption issues, even why will you start from beginning. If it had come before equity must come with clean hands, why would this present government not go back to even 1979 and issue an executive order to check why the government of Alhaji Shehu Shagari was scuttled? Let the executive order be raised from there, and then we begin to look at things. And people have been dying. Harry Mashar, to mention but a few. A whole lot of executive order should be issued to check in all these acts. And even the very recent one, we'll know that the former governor of Edo State, Adams Aliu Shomole, and other mandaments have been granted by court of Barrister West Idahosa. And the executive order have not been raised on that to bring Oshomole to court. I think the executive order should do it holistically and not
looking at an executive order for a case like that.
I don't know, that's why, since it's now, we're in the era of executive orders. Like I just said, the anti-graft agencies, they are well kitted up and they are saddled with that responsibility. If we say we need it, why do we need the executive order now?
But Barrister,
that is the
I'm
point.
going to come to you in a bit. But meanwhile, let me give you a bit more chance to push the conversation along this line.
Okay.
Some persons have the argument, they've supported the argument that the corruption situation in Nigeria is very peculiar, and as such, there's no effort, no effort should be spared.
I disagree with in totality.
Corruption. Don't you think against that backdrop?
I disagree in totality.
Executive Order 6.
Now we talk of Halliburton scandal. Hold on, we talk about Halliburton scandal, we talk about Panama Papers. These are not things that started from here. So when you say it's peculiar to Nigerian corruption, corruption is corruption. They would have defined it in the dictionary, Nigerian corruption. So when you talk of corruption, it stretches beyond financial and misgivings and issues, settling scores between yourself and other persons. That is basically what I'm concerned about. If you say somebody is corrupt, a lady came up and said Donald Trump had slept with me, this, and that, and the court threw it out. And the Cosby the other way around. Nobody is trying to say, and nobody is free. We should make it a holistic thing. It shouldn't be streamlined. It shouldn't be low-sided. It shouldn't be something that looks like it's witch hunting.
So you feel uncomfortable because
I'm very, very uncomfortable with that.
Fair,
it's not fair. It's not transparent. Absolutely.
Let me come to Barrister David quickly now. I mean, what's your take on the fact that the court has thrown its weight behind this Executive Order 6?
Well, the court has thrown its weight behind the Executive Order 6. Which court? The Federal High Court. Federal High Court is of the same jurisdiction as the State High Court.
Okay.
And so there's a right of appeal, and I think they have already appealed. And in that appeal, there's also an order for injunction, an application for an order for injunction. But leaving all that aside, let us look at what is the essence, what is the reason for the executive order. That is where we should. Why now? Why do you bring the executive order now? From what I can deduce from what the government is saying is, one, to fight corruption cases, those involved in corruption cases, to restrict their movement, and to also make sure that they not dissipate properties or proceeds from the corrupt enrichment. Now, if you look at it under a microscopic view, you will find out that this is a direct affront to the judiciary. It is an uncalled for affront to the judiciary. Why do I say that? Most corruption cases on arraignment in the court, when you come to the stage of bail application, normally, most of the times, the passports of the suspect in question is normally deposited with the court or with the anti-graft agency, either the FCC or whoever is involved. And sometimes when these persons come to ask for bail, maybe on medical grounds, they want to go abroad and all that, you need to convince the court. It's normally opposed by the state. Then you need to convince the court. And in the event that it is granted, you go for a medical checkup and come back. As soon as you come back, you deposit your passport again. Now, you see, we talk about the court. People say the court has backed it. And I say again, which court? Federal High Court. I'll take us back to 1999. I'll cite one case. The case of Director General, SSS, and Olisa Agbakoba, a senior advocate of Nigeria. You see, in that case, where Olisa Agbakoba's passport was seized, being one of those individuals placed on the watch list, the case went up to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said that was a denial of his freedom of movement as guaranteed by Section 41 of the Constitution and Section 12 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. And that you cannot make a legislation to subjugate the Constitution. I take us again back to the 70s. In the old case of Lakami versus Attorney General West, where the Supreme Court again said that ad hominem legislation is something to be frowned at. What do I mean by ad hominem? Legislation targeted at certain persons.
Is that the case we have in front of us?
That is the case we have here.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Ad hominem legislation. You don't make laws to target certain persons, to do certain things. In that very case, Lakami, very, very popular case, so it's a locus classicus, and AG West, legislation was made to target properties from some certain persons to forfeit to the government of the then Western government. And the Supreme Court said, no, you do not make legislation to abridge or amend in any way the provisions of the Constitution. Because the Constitution is clear on this, that made perfect provisions for how things should go in such a situation. So my take, rounding up, is there is no need for the Executive Order 6. The government, the federal government, the executive, if they are so interested in aiding the anti-graft agencies in doing their job, then all they need to do, you get competent lawyers to work there, so that when bail application comes, that, oh, I want to release my passport, you get lawyers to show to court to argue why the passport should not be released. And the court is the final arbiter. Whatever decision the court gives, you abide by it. If you are not satisfied, you go upstairs. Just like I know now that 2 lawyers are involved in appealing this decision of the Federal High Court. You understand me, my brother? So what we are saying generally in a nutshell is this executive order is uncalled for at this time. It's an affront to the judiciary. It's inimical to the rule of law and should be withdrawn. Just to add quickly that I'm not too surprised that it's coming like this, because unfortunately, our President and Commander-in-Chief has come out openly to say that what do you call it now? Security interest is over and above the rule of law.
Is that not a matter of expediency now?
No.
Well, no, you don't. I think we have an Attorney General of the Federation. I think we have many lawyers in the Federal Executive Council that ought to be advising our president very well. There are certain statements you don't come out to make. You can't come out to say national security is over and above the rule of law. You subjugate the rule of law as the president of a democratic country.
Then call for anarchy.
Is unheard of.
But again, is it not self-evident enough that corruption is a threat to security, political, and economic stability in any country, including ours, for instance?
It is.
Could that be the factor putting the president, as it were, under pressure?
The president should not be under pressure in any circumstance.
Absolutely.
That's why he's the president.
Absolutely.
He should be in charge, and comfortably so. He should be in charge. There are presidents that have faced worse scenarios, issues of kidnapping of high-profile personalities, and they have not broken. In any case, you have the anti-graft agencies in place. All you need to do is what we have been saying right from time. Strengthen the institutions. Don't come dabbling into it. There's the principle of separation of powers. We must respect that principle. Don't dabble into it. Strengthen them to do their work.
Let's talk about the rule of law a bit. That conversation has been long drawn out, really, as far as this country is concerned, the legal system in particular. Why is it becoming almost impossible to entrench rule of law in the way we carry out activities in this country?
Yes. Simple. We know of the propagation of the doctrine of separation of powers long ago. And we know that if that principle is not respected, a lot of things will go wrong. Corruption we have been talking about, it did not start today. Corruption, unfortunately, right now is an endemic problem in Nigeria. And we're going to tackle it both physically and spiritually, because it's going to take a lot for us to wipe corruption away. And I keep saying it in every forum I go to, that it takes the strong will and sincerity of purpose of the leaders to wipe out corruption.
We have both factors at play now. Do we have both of them?
We hardly have any of them. We hardly have any of them at play. We hardly have any of them at play, because a good leader, a good, if you like, you call it ruler, a good president would start by using himself as an example. So there are a lot of issues, I don't want to go into them now, that our most respected president ought to start using. Just let me give you just one. There is, I keep saying it, the illegal issue of security votes. What the hell is that? Now we say for security purposes. Is it accountable? That is the people's patrimony. You don't allocate something and you say, well, governors take every month, president take every, this will take every month, and you don't account to us.
How do we reverse such a practice, for instance?
By the leader, by the president, starting with himself and saying, look, I have divided this thing. We are not saying that don't allocate security vote, but make it a reasonable cost, not the mind-staggering amounts we hear. And make that amount accountable. At the end of the month, tell the people, yeah, I did this for police force, I did this for the military, and this is it. It builds the confidence in the leadership, in the people at the helm of affairs. But we don't see that happening. We see every consecutive president, governor that comes in, they are quiet about these things. I know many of them will be jittery as I'm talking now, because they are not comfortable with this topic. So that is the truth. Sincerity of purpose. And you must start by showing, by doing it, making yourself the example of what you want your followers to be.
He just talked about the fact that there are several other ways we can strengthen institutions, including the anti-graft agencies, the ICPC, the EFCC, and all that. But over time, we've heard that a lot of times they also have challenges with getting the right lawyers to pursue cases, and so on and so forth. Is this so difficult to get competent lawyers? Because that appears to always be the word, competent lawyers. There are competent lawyers scattered across this country, for example. Why is it so difficult? In some cases, it will appear impossible to engage these lawyers to fight these cases.
Well, thank you very much. You're talking about competent lawyers. Well, every lawyer to be is competent. Every lawyer is competent. Now, to be abreast with certain intrigues that play out in certain area of legal activity is another thing altogether. Now, you as the president or whoever is saddled with that responsibility, you know what you want. And we have the courts, and you have several judgments. We have people, lawyers have represented cases for people, for their clients. You go out there and check, not those that come on the pages of newspaper and make statements and then you jump at them, oh, these are the very popular people we know. There are lawyers that are very quiet, and they just go and check their track record and see what they have been doing and discuss with them. So they know them. It's not as if knowing the lawyers to use or to call for. Probably, you see, another issue is maybe it does not belong to our party. It does not belong to our, there are certain arrangements in that regard. Because there are certain lawyers that will not compromise certain standards, but we just want you to do something, create a scene, just try to act up something. That could be some other lawyer's stake. If you have lawyers that are very, very experienced in certain fields, and they tell you, look, I would not allow this man his rights to be abused, for instance, and then you say, no, I want him to be kept behind bars for a while. Well, what do we do? So such persons will withdraw because they know the implication. You are gradually sowing your name. For a lawyer or a magistrate or a judge or a justice to condescend so low, to descend into arena of, issues and trying to help matters like that, it doesn't augur well. When the Minister of Transport at the time said he gave so and so money to some judges and all whatnot, all those kind of statements, before you know it, they believe they cannot control the judiciary. And that is absolutely not, it's wrong, and it's not the issue. It's not going to work. You see, that is how it is. When you are talking of we want competence, look, make the economy run well. Do the needful. He just started by saying your security vote. Start. Integrity, integrity, integrity everywhere. Corruption, corruption on the other side. You start and let's see the dividends of the so-called democracy we practice today. Students are clamoring for this, workers not being paid, issues here and there, national matters, and here. When you start doing that, Nigerians on their own will join force with you. But when they begin to see you, we're talking of competent lawyers, it's not about the competent lawyer. When you don't have a society that is free from, from a lopsided activity, when you not judge people by the color of their skin or by the party, political party they belong to, not by their content or character. Because there are certain persons, to me, that should be quizzed. But today now, like people like Babache and all of that were former, Secretary of the Federal Government, and today, we don't know what is really happening. So we shouldn't operate like this and expect the entire nation to throw their weight behind.
Quite candidly,
yes.
would you say, for instance, that with or without the Executive Order 6,
yes,
this government has recorded at least an iota of success in the fight against corruption?
When you say success, well, okay, now, when you say fight against corruption, to me, or honestly speaking, I don't see that.
But Nigerians are more aware now.
No. They have been aware. Look, I know Femi Falana, a senior advocate of law, had said to us that Jonathan Goodluck fought corruption in the most civilized way, and they achieved more results. See, it's not okay, look at what I read a while ago about Ayodele Fayose not wanting to talk to EFCC. He wants to go to court. Now, you said somebody have been on close watch for over 3 years or thereabout. You freeze his account and everything. Now, by now, What is he still waiting for? You are securing order to keep him. If you have cogent reasons, take this man to court. You have your ex parte motion you've already thrown to court and court have granted. Take this man to court. Now, the criminal prosecution, you can always amend the charge sheet. There are things you are now telling us on the newspaper that he bought some property in Lagos, in Abuja. There are some of his property that you are linked up. You have put EFCC order, keep off, and all of those stuff. That's funny. Take him to court. Confront him with this. Let him start the trial.
But I guess that should be the place of the former governor's lawyers to press, isn't it?
No. What I'm saying, I'm talking about your daily fire sheet. You know, why is he still held in Komeka? He's kept away. Now, you said you have placed him on watch. You have been checking him, you have freezed his account, his property everywhere that he, you know, you are telling Nigerians on the pages of paper, and you are keeping him away. If you are sure and truthful to yourself, take that man to court, and you want to amend that charge, you can always amend it, even at any time. So that's our own take. Why this, you know, this bossy, you know, trying to be Superman on some little trivial issues? That's basically what I don't understand.
But the allegations are not trivial, obviously.
No. When I mean we say the allegations are not trivial, I'm not when okay, you said I'm not saying they are trivial. When I mean trivial in the sense, I'm trying to compare to what it is. Now, if you know this man, why will it not look like it's now what the whole nation? Or is it because he had openly castigated the president, you know, over time, and his case should be treated peculiarly?
Those are not the facts they're confronting him with.
No, they are confronting him with the issues now. Why have they not taken him to court? They should transmit all of that to court.
Let's wait and see.
That is basically what we are looking at. Now, I agree with you, you know, that they are not, I'm not trying to trivialize criminality or try to corruption. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm saying if this thing is to be done, it should be done well. Now, we have other cases. How about the former governor, Adams Ali Oshomole of the APC, the national chairman now? A court have also granted another Adamos that. What are we doing about that? What are we doing about that?
Whose place is it to effect that order?
Whose place is it? We have the presidency helping us with executive orders. So the presidency that is zero tolerance to corruption and things like this. No, a man like me. Now, from the other lady now, the finance minister the other day had to resign, you know, for certificates and NYC, the certificates of what scandal, as it were.
Yes.
Now, a man like that now should also resign because there are issues now. Oh, hold on, quickly go and sort yourself out, because we don't want corruption in this country again. We must bring it to an end. And these are things I'm talking about. Now, somebody killed Harry Masha. Somebody killed Funshaw Williams. Somebody killed Bola Ige, a very celebrated brain in this country. Somebody killed him. Now, where are the killers? Where are the killers? Festus Keyamo, SAN have been trying all the while. But I'm surprised that in critical time like this that we are fighting corruption. We should just be talking about recovering money. Who cares about Nigeria? Is so blessed. It's not the recovering of money. We have the money. The money is still there. But what we are looking at now, the person's other aspects of corruption. We have looked at somebody who has circumvented the democratic system. That is also corruption. Now let's look at it critically and begin to analyze it well. And then we'll look at the likes of the killers of these men, and they mentioned a few. Let's begin to check. Let's open again. We talked about the Obasanjos. I saw it in Abuja the other day. My comrade Oshomole said Obasanjo should be called for the 16 billion. The power. Call him. Let everybody come. Let's bring everybody out. Don't start talking. Atiku is corrupt now. Okay, why now? Why will you wait for him to date? Why is Adeleke now being charged with the issue of certificate at this time? And I heard again that Winke is having certificate issue. Why wait till today? I think I'm wondering because
rather than get agitated,
I'm not agitated.
We should look at first of all the facts that the agencies investigating these people, in some cases the police even, have against them, on which of course they will take them to court ultimately. But going forward, let's begin to look at Barrister David now. The implementation, or if you like, the execution of this order over time. We understand that there's already an appeal against it, even though the court had thrown its weight against it. But, I mean, let's make sense of the conversation going forward. Where is this whole thing heading?
It's heading nowhere.
You're so sure of that?
It's heading nowhere, my brother. You see, a lot of people have talked on it. Pan-African Lawyers Union has issued a statement. Prominent jurists, prominent lawyers, Femi Falana, and a lot of people have also issued statements on this, saying that to a large extent, like I've said, it's an affront on the rule of law and the judiciary. Other persons, I understand the British envoy has also made a statement encouraging it and saying that it's a veritable tool
for fighting corruption. You have a problem with that position?
The truth is, with all due respect to the person of the British envoy, I think Mr. Paul Arkwright.
Arkwright, yes.
I think he does not really understand the situation in Nigeria and will not be in a proper position to appreciate the reasons why that executive order was made. So he's making it from an innocent point of view, from what he understands. If I will push it a step further, I would say it needs the tacit support and cooperation of Britain itself to fight the corruption. Because a lot of our monies are stashed away in that same Britain. What have they done? We've heard of the Swiss countries having understandings of returning money stolen. I've not heard of Britain returning any substantial amount. So he should take that home as a food for thought and go and start working on his home government on how they can assist Nigeria genuinely. It's not to come and make statements here that the order is good for fighting corruption. What has Britain done tacitly to assist Nigeria in effectively curbing corruption and fighting corruption? So that is by the wayside. We are talking about individuals that should be brought to book on corrupt charges. My brother here mentioned a lot of names and all that. Well, that is fine. I agree that people, you see, the anti-graft agencies, we have a problem with them. The problem we have with them is that they are fast making themselves of questionable character before the populist court, before the general opinion of the citizens. If not, they would not have issued a statement before Fayose left office that we are waiting for you. What does that mean? What does that come to? You are an anti-graft agency. You are meant to be a serious-minded body. You are there to fight corruption, no matter whose ox is God, no matter the political divide. You are not making a statement to a particular governor's tenure will soon be expired, that we are waiting for you. What does that suggest? So, you see, they themselves have not been careful. The great politician Bola Tinubu has been to court on corrupt charges. The Senate President, Olusola Saraki, has been to court on corrupt charges. A lot of persons have been taken to court on corrupt charges. So, if our immediate past governor of the state has any reason for petition to be written against him, he should be taken. See, the sooner we share this toga of some fingers are more equal than some, the better for us in this country. Once you are indicted and you don't have the cover of immunity as guaranteed by the Constitution, which is another issue I think we should revisit seriously, but that's also by the wayside. So once you don't have that cover, and whether you are chairman of a party, you are whatever you are, the sooner we bring to the fore the aspect of all are equal before the law, the better for the generality of Nigerians in this country.
Do you see that happening anytime soon? We
have to start it somewhere, someday, someplace. And that is why even the article that they are talking about, if they are corrupt, they should take it to court.
Simple.
If it is Oshomole, they should take him to court. We don't have to look to anybody at anybody's face. We must start doing things right and get things right in this country.
Let me ask you this quickly. Does the president have the power to place certain individuals, regardless of political divide, whatever affiliations you have, on a certain list that restricts you from traveling?
No, sir. That amounts to ad hominem legislation, which
I said what the situation is.
And I forgot to tell you, in the case I cited, the case of Lakomi and AG West, in that legislation that was done on those certain individuals that they had to forfeit their properties to the government of then Western Nigeria, their names were included in that law. They were targeted, their names were included. And the Supreme Court struck out that thing and said, no, this is in bad faith. So now you are talking about Executive Order 6 and you are saying, as part implementation of that order, you now brought us a list of names. It is the same thing. You have targeted those persons. And in any case, we are not even talking about the negligence of somebody who went to add 2 dead names in that list, bringing us to national embarrassment every time. So, I mean, we need to...
But in any case, if these persons whose names pop up on that list have cases to answer with overwhelming evidence, for example...
Yes, then leave it to the courts. The courts are handling it. The anti-graft agencies should be strengthened to make sure that they do their job properly, and that they should try their best to get those persons with the evidence at their disposal convicted. It is not for you, the executive, now to be trying to circumvent the authority of the judiciary by trying to make laws. What if the judiciary now says, okay, we are granting him bail, go for this, and you now make that law and say you cannot move? You have now countermanded the order of the judiciary, which is in bad taste and is against the doctrine of separation of powers.
Interestingly, some persons have even said, at least via body language, that the judiciary has a question mark over it. Some have said clearly that
nobody's
in some cases, the judiciary has been compromised. Do you share that sentiment, even as a lawyer, for instance?
There are bad eggs everywhere. There are bad eggs everywhere. I'm not saying that the judiciary is perfect, but I'm saying that in recent times, the judiciary has put on its weight and has tried to make amends for those aspects which it is lacking on. We've seen judiciary dismiss judges in recent times, a lot of judges. Even the body we belong to, the Nigerian Bar Association, they have taken a lot of disciplinary measures on a lot of legal practitioners. So the judiciary is trying its best. There's nowhere you don't have bad eggs, but we must not use that to generalize. I would say that in the past few years, judiciary has sat up and has lived up to expectation.
Let me talk to you, Barrister Patrick. Election year is upon us, obviously, just a few months away from here. Is there convergence between this executive order and the electioneering that we have already upon us? Because it will appear there will be a series of drama that usually comes before the election, every other election cycle in this country. Does that distract us as a people? Because we have election in front of us, we don't want to bungle.
Patrick Lumumba said, he said Africans are moved by ideas, but their stomach leads them. In as much as we know how elections have always been in this country, that is just a way of trying to, call a dog a bad name and trying to give some justification to what is being done, making the people to forget. Amuse, a Latin word, talk about music. If I play a song now, I make you think along that song. I believe, I make you start thinking, along that song. So that is basically what it is. What I see here is not in order. Now, all we are seeing, the executive order, now everybody seems to be acting well, statements are popping up, the anti-graft agency, like my senior colleague have said, that ordinarily should be saddled with more serious. You don't see people like that going on social media making statements. It's just funny. You should be working on that and then come out with results. But they are giving you details of how a particular set of people. No, I would have expected them to be doing it generally if they want to. But it's not for some set of persons, and statements here and there, give me and taking that statement. That is funny. And we should not, yes, it's going to impact on the people. Because how many Nigerians are really, really interested? Oh, they're interested in, and not them. Okay, let them be doing it. That's why we are here. We have to let our people know that it's not in the talk. That somebody was taken to court or remanded in prison custody does not mean he's convicted yet.
Obviously.
And even if he gets a conviction in a lower court, he can go higher to go and
challenge it.
Challenge it. So these are the things, but they make it so big and bogus on the pages of newspaper. A SYZ person have been convicted and they belong to SYZ party, trying to use that as a tactical way of campaigning. I honestly believe that it's not going to work.
Along that line, for instance, those people whose names have been featured or have featured on this list of banned persons, can they go to court?
Obviously they can. Why would they not go to court? They can go to court. and challenge it. And these were fundamental rights. The right of movement is sacrosanct. You cannot hold me down. If you have anything against me, bring it out. Executive order is not a judgment. It's an order of the executive arm. The court have not ruled. The court have thrown its weight according to, and it's still being appealed. If it's appealed, so it's still hanging there. If I go to court and you say, well, I'm restricted me now, you are restricting me from living. Why? Then I'll go to court and ask and tell court. And let court rule. If I have right to travel, if I have right as a Nigerian that have not been found wanting, and section 41 of the Constitution and, you know, my fundamental rights and all whatnot is being trampled on, can I, section 36 and all of that, put them together? Do I have rights? Is my right not being infringed upon? And let the court rule on it. And the court say, yes, it is. Then I will pick my passport and travel. So what do you not make of the order? So what I'm trying to say, this cosmetic displays, what I'm not, is a waste and a misguided energy channel towards things that are not. We should rather.
We're uncomfortable with many of the initiatives.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
I'm really very uncomfortable because there are vital things we should be talking about now. Well, the vital things we should be talking about, look at Nigeria as it stands today now. Look at the economy. Look at the way, the poor state of living. Yeah, we keep blaming. You know, I don't believe in that. If you're a leader, you should face it. We should stop trading blames. Why did you come on board? Okay, you are blamed and you blame. I know this government have blamed so much. I appreciate the fact that the past government didn't do anything. Let's even believe that we were just like after the Second World War, the entire Europe was destroyed. Somebody came up with a plan to reconstruct. So why will we continue to talk about what happened yesteryears? This is how they have destroyed the country in some years. I have had in 16 years damage cannot be repaired in 4 years. Oh, the question is, why did you come? How long did it take Hitler to revamp the German army to fight the entire world? 4 years. So it's not about how long, it's how you inspire your people. The work is not going to be done by an individual, it's going to be done by everyone.
What is the ideal way to fight corruption?
The ideal way to fight corruption, the judiciary is there, the anti-graft agencies, they are there. Like we have already established that. It's like asking us the same question again. Now look at it. Institutions are there, strengthen them. Let them undergo the right training. Because a lot of them, they don't even know what to ask. It's not as if they say lawyers are coming to play around. No lawyer is going to be aiding. The practice of law does not subject a lawyer to aiding corruption. That's not possible. But if a right is being trampled on, a lawyer will go there and say, no, his right is being trampled on. Like today now, I'm sympathizing with Fayose. Why will I not? Not because if Fayose is guilty of corruption, let him go to prison for all I care. But why will you now judge him before judgment comes? A man came to all by himself. You know, why am I particular about Fayose? I've served in Ekiti State. I saw the work he did. To a large extent, I have said some good things about him. Don't you say something again, and now he's being heard now, oh, he should be kept there. The man has said to you, I will say nothing, take me to court. Take him to court. Then if you feel, you don't have to force him. You have right to keep quiet. He can say anything. You can decide not to speak. Then when he's in court, roll this evidence other than showing me on Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, and Twitter. All those things are unnecessary. You go to court with him. So these are the things I personally am talking about.
As we come down on this conversation, let me ask Barrister David quickly. Do you think we are stuck in the woods as far as the fight against graft is concerned?
No, we are not. What we just need to do is we need to cross some T's and dot some I's. We have started in the right path. There has been some bottlenecks, some tension between the executive and the legislature, especially over the continued appointment of Ibrahim Mago as head of the FCC, the anti-graft agency that is very visible. I think the ICPC is still there. We don't hear much about them, but I know they are also doing their job. So all we need to do, strengthen such relationships, make sure that you don't have any self-serving interest. It should be for the interest of the country. Anybody that's corrupt should go in for it. And we should stop taking a kind of personal view, personal interest in this kind of matters that this person, no, this person, selective.
Selective justice.
It is really wrong. there's an aspect of this Executive Order 6, which we didn't mention here. And that's the fact that, you see, the judge, Justice Ojukwu, who, or the Federal High Court, who gave kind of legal backing to that law, gave a condition that even if you are going to act pursuant to this order, you must come back to court to obtain an order. That was in her ruling. It's part of her ruling. That even if the anti-graft agencies are going to act pursuant to that Executive Order 6, they must come back to court to obtain an order thereto.
So as it were, it's not a finished product.
No, it's not. If you take time to, you say a lot of people have not really taken time to say that. What's the Executive Order all about? It's just an emphasis of the powers conferred on the president by Section 5 of the Constitution that says the executive powers of the Federation rests in the person of the president, and probably could be delegated to the vice and to ministers and all official workers that are delegated
within the cabinet.
Within the cabinet. So that is what it's all about. It's always been there, but like my learned friend said, one would begin to wonder, why is it now being highlighted now at this point? Why is it now being embellished, so to speak, when it really takes nothing away from the job of the anti-graft agencies? They are there. Instead of doing the executive order, devoting money towards enforcing it and maybe implementing it, I would say put money towards strengthening the anti-graft agencies to do their work properly. Give them proper training. Give them equipment that they need. And make them to be apolitical so that they can do their work without fear or favor. That's what we need to do right now. And that's the direction that the federal government ought to take.
Okay, so let's hope in the days and weeks, months, and years ahead, that direction will be taken. And of course, there will be a level playing field for everybody.
Exactly.
And the rule of law will be supreme.
We do hope so.
Above national security.
Above it should be. It must be above national security. That's the right position.
Well, we're looking forward to that. Gentlemen, thank you for coming. I'll be talking to Barrister Patrick Awosaige, legal practitioner, obviously, and then his colleague over there, Barrister David Madiko. Thanks for coming. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Maybe we made you miss your breakfast, but somehow you find a way to
it's national
compensate
sacrifice.
for that. It's national sacrifice. Okay, we'll be back in a bit, and when I come back with my set of guests, we'll be talking about the rising inflation and what economic implications it holds. Stay with me.